So we've got two awards left.
We got 2 awards left now. These are important awards.
Okay.
We've just celebrated and paid tribute to the previous decade.
Okay.
And the reason why we've done 10 years in a row is because Cinephobia Radio's only been around a year, so I wasn't there to honour and
you're playing a bit of catch up.
I'm doing a bit of catch up. But I don't just want to acknowledge the previous decade. I want to go all the way back, pretty much. I want to honour the past century. Now, of course, we're not going to get into different films, blah, 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 a million different considerations. I'm just going to boil it down to 2 categories: Cinephobiac of the 20th century and Chone of the 20th century.
Okay.
You know, so we have a context.
Okay.
As we move forward into this current decade, we're putting the past behind us. We're putting the past into perspective. So I think it's only right that we honour the Cinephobiac and the Chone who most define the 20th century culture of cinema.
Okay, so what's the next category? Do you want to end on an upbeat
so
note?
So we should start with the Chone and end on an upbeat note with Cinephobiac?
Yeah.
No, I'm a very negative guy. We're going to do it the other way around. We'll do Cinephobiac and we're going to end with Chone.
All right, so...
Because this Chone is so... much of a fucking Chone. There's no way to come back from it, baby.
All right.
No way.
So let's get on with
the Cinephobiac of the 20th century.
The winner of the first annual GLAZBALL Award for Cinephobiac of the Century is... We have another tie.
Another tie.
The first winner is Ray Harryhausen. He's still alive, too, isn't he?
He is still alive. That's part of the consideration for why he deserves the award, because he's still alive to receive it. And you got to think, for Mr. Harryhausen, to this late in his life, to actually be honoured with a GLAZBALL Award, what an incredible, incredible achievement. I
know that you're a great admirer of his work. You've had him on the show. I get that. But what would be the reason if people like, give it to me quick, why him for this award? Why?
Well, I was going to get into that.
Okay. I don't know what my job is here then.
To indulge my every whim. Ray Harryhausen? Okay, I'll tell you why. First of all, the kind of work that he does in filmmaking, for me, crystallizes what is most purely magical about cinema. I mean, the entire illusion is based on the persistence of vision, the 24 frames a second, although that may change in the future, creating the illusion of movement. And there's something magical about stop motion that exploits that very function of cinema to create the illusion of movement with objects that are not moving on their own. So there's a magic to it, there's an alchemy to it. This is an alchemy that was first practiced by the likes of Georges Méliès, the great French filmmaker who helped originate the art form and was really the first one to explore its fullest expressionistic possibilities. So for me, Ray Harryhausen is one of the great magicians of cinema. He was a master craftsman, a great artist. It takes almost a genius to be able to work with the tools, the myriad of tools that he had to concoct to pull off the work that he did. But it's his influence on other filmmakers that I'm really honouring here with this GLAZBALL Award. This man launched an entire generation of filmmakers. Guys like Joe Dante, guys like John Landis, guys like Tim Burton, people who when they were kids were completely spellbound by his work and were inspired to go into cinema and became some of the most creative, dynamic and innovative filmmakers of the post-Harryhausen generation. So for his influence on cinema, for the fact that he practices his craft at a level that can never be surpassed, and even for the fact that what he did has almost become a lost art form, I can't think of too many more people more fully deserving of the award, of the honour, of Cinephobiac of the Century. Except for the other guy who won.
The second winner is Roger Corman. Also still alive.
Also still alive. Another reason why we need to honour Mr. Corman. Now, he just won the Academy Award. Finally, they gave him an Academy Award after many decades when they should have honoured him a long time ago. Well, finally, he won the Academy Award, but I'm sure once he gets his hand on a Glazzie, or maybe an email letting him know he won a Glazzie, he'll realise that the Academy Award was just a runner-up to the greatest honour a filmmaker could ever possibly achieve in the world of cinema, a GLAZBALL.
So why did you pick Roger Corman for this award then?
There's actually a very specific reason why. Not just the fact that he's still alive, not just the fact that he's produced hundreds of movies, not just for the fact that he's launched gazillions of careers, but there's two really main categories why Roger Corman deserves this award. First of all, Roger Corman should be the ideal film producer of the current century, because his mentality was he knew how to exploit cinema, he knew how to exploit trends in cinema, but he did it intelligently. Even the most corniest of his films generally have some underlying redeeming quality to them, an intelligence, a subversion, a social commentary. He kind of, for me, epitomizes the ideal exploitation filmmaker who knows how to fully and aggressively throw stuff into the marketplace while simultaneously creating art. Now, there's another reason. Corman has long been credited for launching spectacular careers in the film business. We all know the likes of Francis Ford Coppola. He helped launch the career of
Jonathan Demme,
Joe Dante, Martin Scorsese, Ron Howard, and even actors like Jack Nicholson, Bruce Dern. And not only that, all sorts of people behind the scenes, writers, producers, a lot of future studio heads all came through the Roger Corman school, and that's what they call it. He's like an institution. It was almost a rite of passage at a certain point that you worked for Corman at one point and then you went on to a successful career in the film business. So he's often credited for having an eye for talent. And while I don't dispute that, I've come to the conclusion it wasn't necessarily the idea of Corman finding all this great latent talent in guys like Coppola and Dante and Jonathan Demme. Roger Corman created them. He turned them into filmmakers. A large part of their success is based upon their tutelage under Corman. Often when he gave filmmakers their first chance to direct a feature, he'd sit down with them for 2 hours and give them the Roger Corman Film School speech. Many of those directors still cite those lessons as coming into focus for them years later when they were making big, gigantic Hollywood A-list pictures. Ron Howard talks about running up the side of a hill trying to photograph Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as the sun was going down in one of his shots and realizing, God, I remember this. Roger Corman told me how to utilize the sun this way. Jonathan Demme wasn't even aspiring to be a filmmaker. He was like a publicist or something, and Corman saw in him the potential to direct a film, and he trained him and unleashed him on the world. He basically helped give birth to one of the most idiosyncratic, original, vivacious American filmmakers of the last 20 years or whatever. All Roger Corman. Not just an eye for talent, but the ability to nurture talent and the ability to create enduring talent. Francis Ford Coppola would not have been Francis Ford Coppola without Roger Corman. And I think even he would acknowledge that. So to give credit where credit's due, but hasn't been fully given, the GLAZBALL Award for Cinephobiac of the decade goes to not only Ray Harryhausen, but Roger Corman too. Congratulations, Ray Harryhausen and Roger Corman.